So here Paul's talking about how Jehovah made the waters of the Red Sea stand up like walls on both sides. And interestingly, the Watchtower a few years ago said it's possible that those walls went up 50 feet. So they were surrounded by what? By water. Well, now, how did Paul describe the event? Look at verse 2. It says they all got baptized into Moses by means of the cloud and the sea. A baptism into Moses. Well, in a sense, Israel got baptized. Now, to help us understand what that really means, we're using the New World Translation, and most of us have that. You can notice the study note on verse 2, and it clearly helps us to see that Paul's talking about a symbolic baptism. Again, they were surrounded by water. They were hidden from Pharaoh and the Egyptians by the cloud. So for Israel, in order to be baptized this way, they had to join with Moses as their God-given leader and follow his direction through the Red Sea. And interestingly enough, those who did that were rewarded. They were brought up onto the other side as a free nation. Well, now what's the lesson for us? What can we learn from that? Well, like Israel, Jehovah will reward all of us if we obey him and his son. And we remember what Hebrews chapter 13, 17 says. We need to be obedient to those that are taking the lead among us today. And like Moses, they've been carefully chosen and assigned by Jehovah to watch over us, to take care of us, protect us. Isn't that a wonderful reward?
They're just watching over us. They're just protecting us, the governing body. There's nothing untoward going on here. They're not controlling you in any way, shape, or form. So we've just been hearing from Michael D. Gregorio. This is actually the baptism talk. Michael is a Bethelite at the Wallkill Bethel, and he's giving the talk, The Meaning of Your Baptism. So just for context, usually around about the Saturday lunchtime at these conventions is when they do the baptism. So Michael Gregorio is here directing his remarks towards a small number, relatively small number of people who are getting baptized at this particular convention. And he's giving them this metaphor of the Jews crossing the Red Sea as being symbolic of a Christian baptism. And he's talking about how the Israelites were willing and ready to obey their God-given leader. So as soon as he said God-given leader, my ears pricked up, and I thought, I can see exactly where this is going. He's making the comparison, obviously, that the faithful and discreet slave, the governing body, are our God-given leader, or the God-given leader for Jehovah's Witnesses, and Jehovah's Witnesses just need to obey them no matter what. And that's precisely the tone that he continues with in his talk.
So when Jesus got baptized, he presented himself to Jehovah to do his will now as the Messiah. And that involved his preaching activity about Jehovah's kingdom in the coming times, and it also involved his ransom sacrifice, offering his life. Again, what do we learn from this third baptism? Well, 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21 makes a statement that all of us as Jehovah's people have heard many times. It says that Christ left a model for you to follow his steps closely. A model, following steps. What does that really say in simple terms? We're going to copy him. We have to imitate him. And we have to imitate the spirit he showed. And in reality, Jesus had a willing spirit. Yes, Jehovah, whatever you want, I'm willing to do. That helps us understand that. Moses' baptism, John the Baptist's baptism, and Jesus. They give us insight into our thinking and how Jehovah views these things. Well, that brings us down to today. And as we think about it, as a candidate for baptism, you've taken time, You studied. In prayer, privately before Jehovah, you said, yes, I'm going to serve you forever. You will be the owner of my life. I'm now dedicating myself to you. And this baptism that you're about to undergo as it is gives clear evidence of that. And we're proud of you for that.
You will be the owner of my life. I am going to dedicate myself to you. Thank you for putting it so clearly, I guess. But I guess my issue, apart from how overtly culty this rhetoric is where's the transparency when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses trying to recruit people on the street? Are they being this transparent with people? Are they saying to those who approach them at their carts, you know, wouldn't it be nice if someone else were to own your life? Why don't they use this rhetoric when they're preaching? That would be refreshing, wouldn't it? It would be refreshing if they could be honest enough with the public, with those that they're trying to convince to join them, if they could be honest enough to use this kind of language and say to people, hey, here's the deal. You shouldn't really be in control of your own life. You need someone else to own your life, and you need an organization to tell you what to do, and you need to be willing to obey that organization no matter what. Wouldn't it be refreshing if Jehovah's Witnesses were that straightforward when they're trying to recruit people?